to another episode of the Joypad Podcast. We've got our team tonight. I am your host and topicless topic boy for the night, Mr. Michael Fleming. And with me, as always, is Megan, Tom, and Mr. Michael Pinto. And Pinto has been so quiet in our pregame podcast chatter. So, Pinto, you are first tonight. How are you doing? What are you drinking? What are you playing? What is the square root of 496?
69.
Nice.
I'm good. I am currently drinking some Simply Watermelon, which I think is purported to be like watermelon juice, but it's halfway between tasting like real watermelon and artificial watermelon. You know what I'm talking about, because like nothing that's actually watermelon flavor tastes like watermelon. It tastes like watermelon flavor. Right? I'm not alone
like a
on this,
lollipop.
right?
Like a watermelon lollipop.
Right. So
It's like they squeeze. There's no juice in a watermelon lollipop, but if there were, it's like they extract all of that and then dilute it.
Yeah.
And that's what they use.
It's not bad. I'm also drinking some water because, you know, watermelon juice isn't water enough for me. I need water as well. I haven't really been playing too much. I am trucking my way through Chrono Cross still. Probably like 80% done with that game. Minus the extra endings, which I think there are 9 in Chrono Cross. There were 12 in Chrono Trigger. I don't know. There's a lot. Right. I'm sure I'm going to show them all off eventually. And that's really about it. I haven't been playing too much else. Dabbling in Stardew Valley still, you know, not as much as I used to. The fever is going away. I'm sure it will come back in like 2 or 3 months or so, and I'll be like, man, I haven't played Stardew Valley in a while. And I start like scratching my wrist. I gotta play Stardew. But yeah, that's really about it. We played some games together. We played a little game called How Fish is Made, and about 50% of a game called Stories Untold. But I think we'll talk about that after we go around, if that's all right with you guys. And
yeah.
No.
Megan says no. Megan wants to talk about them right now. So How Fish is Made.
Educational.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Weird.
Yeah, we'll jump back to that, especially because I think by the time the podcast episode goes up, I still won't have uploaded those videos. I don't know. Time's weird, and I don't understand it. Megan! Tom!
I just wanted to say, I feel like How Fish is Made is like if someone took the Captain Beefheart album Trout Mask replica and just said, here's a game.
Now. Yeah. You're not wrong.
The end.
Megan, how are you doing? What are you drinking? What have you been playing? How do you feel about How Fish is Made?
I feel forever changed by the song and dance portion of the game. I really enjoyed Tom's interpretation of what I could hear. I think it matched up nicely. But yeah,
William Mortimer.
Yes, I'm never forget. I'm doing okay. I'm enjoying some leaf water as always. I really haven't played too much lately. I've been kind of busy with other stuff. What the fuck have I been playing? I've continued on my journey of being a cult leader in Cult of the Lamb. So that's still fun. Still really enjoying that. I've been playing Raft a little bit on my own, and then my fiance and some of her friends wanted to get into it, so I've been trying to teach them the ways of Raft. So that's been a thing.
Do you make them paddle?
My fiance paddles.
Okay.
Yeah, the others do a lot of other stuff, so it's a journey.
Hang on, I have to ask because I know who you're playing with. I was actually supposed to play the other night and I got distracted. How organized is your raft? I bet it's very organized. Or the polar opposite, it's not organized at all. There's no in between.
We move a lot of stuff around on deck As far as supplies, though, I try very hard to keep everything organized, and it just doesn't happen. I tried to do like we have refined supplies in this crate, and then refined supplies in this crate, and let's try to keep it separate. Or I put these things here and these things there, and it's just a giant clusterfuck. So, but we're learning. We're fighting sharks. We're fighting birds, giant birds. But we just made it to the ship, and we finally have 2 engines. And our next stop is Balboa Island. So not really too far ahead of where we are again as a group. But it's a journey. But that's about it for me. Tom, how are you? What are you drinking? What are you playing?
I am doing the best I can to not get sick. I have a delightful Waterloo strawberry sparkling water because today's enjoyment of beverages is water with essence of X. And my choice was strawberry farts. Because you know what I like the most.
Farts?
Yeah, cake farts. Well, strawberry farts in this case. What have I been playing? Madden 23, which is a terrible idea. Don't buy it. Don't be me. Don't buy it.
Uh-oh.
But I did it. And I've already probably played like 20-something hours on it because it's what I do. It's fine. I don't super regret, but like there's nothing new. It's the same game. The free agent contract negotiations are a little better and a little different. And that's about it. And face of the franchise, they were like, hey, remember when you could be a rookie and you could like choose what college to go to and do different stuff and then come out and you had like a backstory and some people that you talk to and you develop in different ways? Now you're a 5th-year pro and you just start that way and you sign with the team.
The end.
And yeah, and there's like a couple little cutscenes, but nothing special. So I decided to try that. I got picked up by the Seahawks as a quarterback because the Seahawks quarterbacks suck. But their receivers are really good, so I just light them up and destroy everyone. And I'm the best quarterback in history. And I am a 5th-year pro who no one decided to give the time of day, apparently, even though he can throw for 100 touchdowns in a season.
Jesus.
The end.
You mean Drew Lock is not a good quarterback for the Seahawks?
Oh, I don't, Geno Smith and Drew Lock are both the best quarterbacks to ever play this here game of football. My gosh, god darn it. I'm also like just annoyed by the game because whenever you like leave a mode, it'll be like, hey, go play Ultimate Team. Go spend more money on Ultimate Team. I'm like, no. Mm-hmm. I just gave you $60 for your shitty game. What? And here's the real kick in the balls, right? Because when I was still playing 22 before they came out with the new game, you would get these little ads here and there that would just say like, get 10% off. If you're a loyal Madden customer, get 10% off the next game. I was like, cool. 10% off sounds good. Oh, no, you can only get 10% off if you're buying the $100 pre-order where the only good stuff that you get from it is Ultimate Team Packs. It's nothing good. It's a waste of money. And it's like, why am I going to... All right, so you want me to throw an extra like $30 at you to get 3 days of early access and some Ultimate Team Packs, which even if you play Ultimate Team, they're not going to be any good in a month. It's so... I hate it. I hate it. I hate that EA has an exclusive license to do football games. It's just such a piece of shit. Like it just goes... It is the prime example of why monopolies fail the world in delivering a good product.
Oh, yeah. I don't disagree. That game is... to me, it doesn't make sense to buy Madden until it's like $20. Like the ones that you would see in those like $20 bins at Walmart, you know, where the movies are too. Like then you're like, okay, maybe. But just like all they change for the most part is like player stats, and if they change anything else, I typically find they've made it worse in general.
Yeah.
I mean, most people say that their favorite Madden is from like 2005. I think is considered a really good
or
one.
05 or whatever.
Yeah, somewhere around there is usually where people say it was the best it was, and that was 15 plus years ago. So it's just disappointing.
There are some that have been good, like Madden 25 was good, which I forget what the hell year that was because we're almost in 2025, but it was called Madden 25. There have been some that have been good, and like when they started doing like the face of the franchise stuff, I was like, oh, this is really cool. There's kind of like a story mode edge to things, and if they had actually tried to make that better instead of just giving up, I think it could have just gotten better over time. But they gave up. Like they put no work into anything that's not Ultimate Team. Give us extra money on top of the.
They should have sold a face of the franchise as an extra cost. They could have done DLC for it. They could have released the game and then done a DLC for that in December even. Yeah. Because I think Madden picks up in terms of interest again as you get closer to the Super Bowl, and then it dies off after that because everybody's just gonna wait for the next one. But There's a big problem with, like you said, companies like that who just kind of continue to put out crap and people pay for it. And if they're going to keep paying for it, that's what they're going to put out. So
I'm the people. But they do sometimes make things better in year, or normally they'll make a couple big changes in year. I still don't think they should be able to get away with that. And I don't think that that's a justification for buying the game. But I've played 20 hours of it. I can't say I haven't had fun. I've turned. I always build my team of Atomic Supermen, and I've done that, and I have fun doing that. So, I don't know. It's Madden. What do you want to hear? It's unless you're me, don't waste $60 on it. This has been your Madden Minute with Tom. So aside from that, I played DayZ a couple times, but all I really did was jump in, shoot some zombies, and jump out because it's boring. And I've played some Sunhaven here or there. My wife has played some Cult of the Lamb.
Nice.
She about got to the same part which I got to, which was after the first boss. I haven't really played anymore since I got there. But I will play more. It's a good game.
Tom, you should talk about your arcade kind of stuff you've been building / setting up, because you haven't mentioned that on the podcast, I don't believe, because you just started doing it after your move.
Yeah. So I bought some arcade 1-up machines because I have always wanted to have an arcade room, because I'm me and I'm a nerd and I love arcade games. So if you're not familiar, Arcade 1-Up makes some relatively cheap arcade machines. They do come mostly as particle board, and you have to put them together yourself. But once they're fully assembled, they look really nice. They have LCD screens, and all of the paneling has the original artwork and stuff kind of set up, or at least close to. So it looks really good. So I bought 3 of those, and I've set up 2 of them so far. I have 1 yet to set up. But we got Terminator 2, which is fun because it has the little Uzis, the little plastic Uzis. And they built clicky clackers into them the same way that it would be at the arcade. So we point them at the screen, and the thing just goes crazy. It's just and it rumbles in your hand the whole time too. So it's really ridiculous. I haven't played a whole lot of that, but man, you can see how people that must have just used to eat quarters like crazy at the arcade, because you die a lot and there's a lot to shoot and it does not die fast. The other one I got was NBA Jam, which is awesome and I love it. And sometimes when I get 10 minutes between work meetings and I don't have anything that I have to do right then, I'm just gonna go play some NBA Jam and just blow off some steam. So that one's up to 4 player, which is really cool. So if you get people over, you can do a lot of that. I've found it has 3 games on it. It says NBA Jam Tournament Edition, whoop-de-doo, and NBA Hang Time. I didn't know NBA Hang Time existed until I played this machine. It's just NBA Jam, but better. Like it just has better graphics. It's faster, and you just get the ball moving right. It just controls a little bit smoother. Has better animations. It's pretty cool. So that's the one I'll normally go to. I always play as the Bulls because I was a fan of the Michael Jordan era Bulls, and I am a Chicago sports fan, so I probably would like them now if I cared about basketball. But the best thing is it has a button that you can hit to switch players or to check on stats. And when you hit it, it changes the color of Dennis Rodman's hair. So that's my favorite thing to do. And also, it's one of those old machines where you get to like keep track of your initials. So I named myself Farts. So whenever you boot up the machine, Farts owns all the records. And it shows up right away, which is awesome.
That's awesome.
We also got a Mortal Kombat machine. So it has like Mortal Kombat 3 to, I don't know if it has 1, but it has like Rampage and a couple other Midway games too, which is awesome. That's another arcade one-up. I just have to build it. They take like 2 hours to put together, and I just haven't had the time yet. But the piece de resistance is I got a Marvel versus Street Fighter ordered, and it's not an arcade one-up machine. It's from a arcade game reseller in the area who is in Southampton, and apparently is like a relatively big deal. They're called like TNT Amusements, and they have like a YouTube channel. They do a lot of pinball machines and video games, and they have a giant showroom apparently. And you can just like go in there and free play games and try stuff out if you want to buy it. So I do have half a mind to go out there sometime and just mess around. But the guy that owns the place is like a little off the wall, a little kooky, real interesting. And he told me as I was talking to him that and buying my machine, he said, "I'm going to send you a paper receipt in the mail." And I was like, okay, that's fine. He's like, I send you one email too, but I send one just to piss off my haters. It's like, okay, this is like a 60-plus-year-old man who wears his jeans around his belly button, just telling me
he wants to piss off his haters.
He's pissing off his haters. They have a YouTube channel. Since he told me about it, I now watch their videos, which they put up fairly regularly because the man is just a character. It's just interesting.
That's awesome.
But I have a genuine Street Fighter versus Marvel versus Street Fighter coming, which is awesome.
That is really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. And it was supposed to be a 19-inch, but he just emailed me the other day and was like, "We got a 23-inch, and do you want that one instead for a little bit extra?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool, let's do it." So we'll see how many weeks it is until we get that, but they're even going to drive it out and deliver it to me, which is awesome.
Oh wow,
so
that's really cool. That's awesome.
So I'm very excited for all that. So we have a nice game room in this house that came with like a pool table. So all the arcade games are just kind of in the back there, and I have like the total awesome arcade setup, and my wife's totally into it too. So it's just perfect for us. So
Cool.
Hell yeah. So, yeah, that's my minute there. The one thing I will say, they have a silent scope machine he advertised for like $1,000, and I was like, oh, that's expensive, but I also want it, and it's also not as expensive as I've seen it in almost any other place. Mm-hmm. And he's like, but you have to pick it up yourself because it's so heavy, and I'm like, I can't do that. I can't.
That'd be you would excuse me, you wouldn't want to break it. Or something, and those things can be heavy. But if you decide to do it and you need help moving it, I'd help you move it, because that's like one of those sniper games, right? Those are really cool. I remember as a kid those being a lot of fun.
It's been my dream as far as I can remember the last time I saw one to have one of those, but we'll see. Yeah. They have a bunch of like the cruise and driving games too, and part of me is like, nice. Oh, that'd be super cool, but they're closer to like $3,000-$4,000.
And they're big too, right?
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah, they have the seats and everything, I'm sure.
Yep. Yeah. So, all right, well, I'll stop talking because that's what I do, is talk a lot, and I will throw it back to Senor Pinto if you have anything else you'd like to talk about the games that you've been playing.
It wasn't
me.
It was me.
Oh, I'll throw it back to Fleming. My bad. Wrong Mike.
If you had just said Mike, we would have been good.
I totally
had to be fancy.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I am good. The topic-less topic boy tonight is good. He is drinking I'm in the third person now. He is drinking actually sparkling water as well. But his flavor tonight is lime farts, not strawberry farts. So we have 3 different flavors. Mine is La Croix, and it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. It works. It's a beverage. I also have water for when I finish my sparkling water. So in terms of games, I think we actually mentioned it last week. That I mentioned that I wanted to play Spider-Man, and I actually bought Spider-Man. I just started it. I have beaten the game. I am typically very good at games, so I'm already at 80% for the whole game. Everything you can do in the game. The nice thing is that it just felt like every moment I was doing another way to get higher percentage complete for the game. So like picking up backpacks and stuff. But it was a good game. I felt it was a little short, but then I looked and I did play like 20 something hours over the course of my time beating the story mode. And I played a lot in one weekend. So it was good. It was a lot of fun. I just wish it was a little longer or there was more to the story.
DLCs included, or are those available?
I don't know. That's a great question.
There's the Black Cat one.
Oh, those are all included then if that's the DLCs. Yeah.
Okay. I figured they might have been because it was like an Ultimate Edition.
Like tracking down Black Cat. I did all those. Those were a little annoying, but they didn't take long. It was getting to all of the, well, no, wait, I take that back. There wasn't too many. There was like 12 of those to do. It took a little while for certain ones, and I was getting really frustrated. But again, those kind of things are fairly easy. There's no fighting in those, and there's real story. So I would just have YouTube on in the background and just search out her stupid little cats.
And talk to her dad, who's definitely her dad. Oh my God, it's her dad.
So, yeah, it's just it was fun. I'm sad that it's already basically over. Like I said, since I'm already over 80% complete.
Yeah, if you think that's a short game, try the Miles Morales Spider-Man game. It's like a quarter of the length.
Oh, that's annoying.
It's fun, but it was like, come on, man, give me more game.
Yeah, I really like big world kind of games like that because you can go everywhere in New York City. It's kind of cool, being able to go that far. So I enjoyed that. It was a good game, and I'm happy I finally got to play it because it was on PC, and also had a lot of sales, which is why I had bought it already when I made the comment last week because it was discounted, which was wonderful. Outside of that, I haven't really played too much. I did play some AoE 2 still because that's a lot of fun, but I've mentioned that before, so nothing new there. I was actually in a really good game though the other day. It went to an hour and a half long, and there was no gold left on the map, no stone left on the map, so that was a lot of fun. If anyone's ever played that RTS, if you haven't, try it out. It's really good. Anyway, so it is a topicless topic tonight. For those of you new to our channel, what that means is that nobody did their homework, and we're going to make it up as we go.
We gave up on homework. We just play improv all the time.
Yeah, that's fine. I think it's good because I think it leads to future longer topics where we started a discussion and we're like, oh, that was a really good, thing to talk about. So yeah. Open it up. Who has some thoughts? Who has some feelings? I don't know.
I want to call out one thing I just saw because I was clicking around my Steam library and I saw that it said that Pinto has added Sunhaven to his library.
Ooh.
Pinto.
Did I do?
Have you?
You know what? I think someone bought that for me because now I'm looking at it, I'm like, did I? What?
Was it our gaming Santa Claus? I decided to go with that instead of the gaming daddy.
You mean gaming daddy?
No, he is not being called gaming daddy. I told my wife that, and she said no, we're not allowed to call him gaming daddy.
Gaming daddy.
I did not purchase this for myself. So thanks, Dave. I didn't purchase this for myself, so I have not played it. No.
Well, you should give it a play because it's good. That's one of the games that I keep coming back to, and I've been playing a good amount of. And I'm a skateboarding wizard with knights and swords, and I jump and fly places as though I am Goku.
You know,
Nice.
if you jump back into Fortnite, Tom, you can play as Goku with a gun.
Oh, is that the thing?
Or
now?
Vegeta.
Or Vegeta doing sexy dances.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Fortnite is such a weird freaking game. Do the kids still play Fortnite?
Everyone
Yes.
still plays Fortnite,
Yeah.
apparently.
Good for them, I guess. It's kind of. I mean, nothing has come around to dethrone it. I'll say that much. But like, and it's good. Like, it's not a bad game. It's just I can't play it for long periods of time.
Yeah.
It's it's that same principle as Fall Guys, where like you're not going to win very often. I won once. I was proud enough of that. I thought that would never happen in my life, that I would ever win at Fortnite. I have a picture saved on my computer. I've probably brought this up before. It just says, I won a Fortnite.
We have
And I'm
seen the picture before, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have.
We'll get you
I
a
should-
T-shirt.
I am personally like over
Tom
battle
Fortnite
royale
merch.
games. Like I'm just so over battle royale. It's funny because I haven't played a lot of battle royale in quite some time, but I just know from like 2015 or 16, somewhere around there, you had a ton of battle royale games come out, and like none of them were like they were good in their own like game, but the genre was just overdone, and I just was like tired of it. And to your point about like winning, like you only could have one winner like at a time, and they were all FPS kind of games, and I got a little tired of them.
I think they've reintroduced, like, the last time I jumped into it, there were like a bajillion modes you could play. Like, you can just invent your own mode in that game to play it, and I don't get it, but that's awesome.
Mhm.
And I'm sure if I poked around enough, I would find something cool to play. But I remember back in the day, I actually really enjoyed, they had like a 50-on-50 mode. So
Wow.
yeah, so you were actually playing almost like a war simulator, which was kind of freaking cool. And that way you're not getting outclassed as much. Like, it averages out more the skill level, right? When you have 50 people on either side. So I could go like hide behind trees and see if I could find somebody while trying my best not to get myself murked, because I suck at FPS games. Although I have won a Fortnite. But they took that out at one point, and at that point I was kind of like, I don't really want to play like just the regular battle royale. But like I said, I think there's a bunch of modes now, and maybe I'll go back and check out what's going on. Dragon Ball Z is interesting enough. They have good cross promotions. Is the interesting thing. Like the Marvel one was real interesting. They had like Spider-Man web slingers and stuff with that, which was cool. They build new like game mechanics when they have them too. It's not like they just gloss things up. So I like that a lot.
They've redone their map multiple times.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, all credit to the developers of that game. It has its niche. It's at the top of that niche. Whatever's next up isn't even close. But I think it's possible that something else could come along at some point and dethrone it, but I don't think there's not enough work to do that. And because it's at the top, it gets those top tier kind of collaborators too. So
Yeah, I think if we're gonna see something beat out like a Fortnite, it's gonna be a different genre of game. Like,
oh yeah,
I think they're gonna hold on to that for a long time. We're gonna have to see something different, to the point of like a multiplayer like kind of game. I've been really wanting to play Rocket League.
Oh man,
we talked about it quite a bit. Like we haven't played Rocket League in so long, and I missed playing Rocket League because that was always a lot of fun. So that's been like on my mind as well.
I was doing that for a while. I was just going in and playing like casual Rocket League.
Oh yeah, I remember.
It's Fortnite and Rocket League are the same thing for me, where if I play for too much, kind of like on my own, or even like it even got to be like with us as a group playing, I get agitated by it because it makes me real anxious and like just on edge, and I don't want a game like that. I'm on edge enough at work. I have high blood pressure. I am officially diagnosed with high blood pressure, and I take
Me
medicine
too.
for it.
Holy crap! I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I don't want games to make that worse.
Yeah, you don't need that stress. I mean, I totally get that. Like, I know whenever I play a game like Rocket League, and I'll use that one as a good example, because like it doesn't mean anything. I'm not gonna ever even play in like a tournament or anything like that. But I have the problem of, if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability. So like something like a Rocket League is like, I suck, I need to get better, and I'll spend hours trying to get better. And I got decent enough at the game. I never was great, because that's a really hard game, and I was always using keyboard mouse, which nobody uses really, but it just, for me, it makes more sense. And I don't need to buy a controller just for the one game. So like I would spend just too much time invested trying to be great at that game, or any kind of game like that. Fortnite, H1Z1, I could see myself doing the same thing. So it's just a lot of those I would just spend too much time. So I just stay away from that kind of stuff for the most part, because it's hard to stop. Those games go so fast that you end up playing, 10 of those games, and they each take 15 minutes. So now you've lost, 150 minutes, 2.5 hours of your day.
Which is longer, trying to play Rocket League for the evening or trying to play one game of War Selection?
Well, and yeah, that's a great point. But like, again, I maybe it must be something like I'm already just naturally pretty good at RTS games, from my years of StarCraft experience. But just like, I don't feel as pressured in those games as I do in games like a Fortnite, a Battle Royale, or even like a Rocket League or something like that. I'm not sure why, but that's just, for me, how it is.
I get it.
That's usually why after a while I would be the one who would stop playing competitive games with you guys, because I think, Fleming, you're very much the most competitive among us. Tom, you're kind of in the middle. Like, sometimes you're more competitive than other times, and then if I lose, I'd be like, oh, bummer, and you guys would get like really upset sometimes, and I'd be like, I'm not having fun anymore.
This is uncomfortable.
This is uncomfortable. Like, I think everyone has those moments when they play any game with their friends. Like, you're all laughing and having fun, then all of a sudden the conversation kind of dies out because everyone's kind of getting more serious. And whenever I felt that happening, I'd be like, all right, it's time to stop for the night, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's, to be fair, I'm on the other side of the conversation with StarCraft, because you guys were both better at StarCraft than me, and I would just be like, hey man, I'm here, I'm trying. Oh, this guy kicked my ass, I don't know what I'm doing. All right, well, what do you want me to do? And I think for all of us, the animosity just sometimes shows up with Overcooked, because that game, oh boy.
Yeah, that game's not competitive, though. There's a big difference.
No, it's not competitive. It's just fast and furious.
Yes,
and
I agree with that.
the amount of team coordination required gets people mad at each other.
And then you come up with a plan and nobody sticks to the plan!
Yep,
that's exactly what happens. Absolutely. In something like a StarCraft, I never really got too frustrated if like we lost as a group, unless I did personally feel like I could have won the game for us in some way. I think the most frustrating thing.
Let's be honest, which is what usually happened. You usually won the game for us. We kind of were just like there making sure you stayed alive, and then we'd be like, all right, cool, we won. Good job, Fleming.
That's why the follow-up message, if we lost, was always 1v1 me, scrub.
The only I remember being to call it gaming daddy, as you guys put it. I remember that Dave would have a lot of money at times and not have distributed the wealth until like we basically realized we lost the game, and it's like, oh my god, you could have sent me 5,000 minerals, 3,000 gas. That's plenty of money to have rebuilt at least another army or two, and if it came earlier, it would have been enough to potentially win the game. So like that's the only time I can remember being frustrated. We fixed that, but I think it's just some of those other games where I don't feel as good that I personally find myself like feeling like I get frustrated because I needed to have done better or be better at that game. I have a very competitive spirit, and I need that competitive outlet, is what we're getting at. It's a problem. I'm going to therapy. I mean, we'll figure it out.
Is this why you and your wife don't play Mario Kart together?
Here's the funny. Well, yes, basically, we both are very competitive, which I think makes it very difficult. And it's in our case, for us together, the challenge is that I'm going to use you guys as an example. If we win a game of StarCraft, you guys are happy because we won a game of StarCraft, especially if you had something to, like, you really contributed to that. You know, Tom did great harassment, or Pinto, you were the one that had a huge economy, and I was getting beat up most of the game, so you know, were the reason we won. Like, that's awesome. And if it doesn't happen, you don't have a problem with that. But I know in games like Mario Kart, or, you know, where we're working together, let's say, even as like a team, if I'm placing first every time and she's placing second every time, almost all the time she gets very frustrated that she was not the one that was first every time. So it's challenging because we both have that same competitive spirit. It makes us really good together, but it also can lead to a lot of friction. So there's a reason we don't play a lot of competitive games together, is what I'm getting to. I don't know if you guys have the same.
Yeah, I mean, that happens when I try to play competitive board games with my wife, which is why I switched to buying cooperative board games.
That is always a good way to do it, especially if you're up against a computer or or the game itself. You know,
yep.
It makes it a lot better because then you both are trying to win. So
my problem is I turn into a backseat driver sometimes, and I try to stop, but I have trouble.
Nope, that's something I'm good at. I let her figure it out.
That was an okay turn, but if you did this instead...
If you do it this way, which is better.
Oh, no, it's not like that. It's more like, I think you do this. I think you do that, you know?
Only way I'll say that is if I'm asked, like in Mario Kart, how are you going so fast? And I'll explain you know how like in Mario Kart, if you're driving and you come up to a turn and you do the little jump
drift
thing, and then you drift and you get that speed boost. I was explaining that, and that was fine because it was a question there. But if I'd be like, hey, you're not doing the drifting, that's why, like, that would not have flown very well.
I would not.
Don't do that.
Say that.
Relationship advice.
Yeah. Don't.
This has been the Don't Fight with Your Significant Other cast.
Do you guys find yourself? I mean, Tom, you say you play a lot of games with your wife, right? Overall, yeah. I don't feel that we play as many as other couples. Like I don't know.
Well, but here's the thing. Like, she mostly likes to watch me play like certain games, like story-driven games. So she's not even really playing. She just likes to watch me play the game. Of course, you know, if we play like a fighting game or something, she'll whoop my ass. She's really good at fighting games. And Mario Kart, Super Smash Brothers, she's very good at those too. So it's pretty even when we get into those kinds of games. And yeah, when we play like board games and stuff, she just gets annoyed because she doesn't understand the rules 100%. And, you know, we have to kind of like negotiate over that kind of stuff when we're learning the rules.
Yeah.
Which I think is everybody's issue, honestly. I face that issue just in general, because board games take a lot to learn. But
yeah, especially recent board games. In the past, like 15 years, the board games have gotten more complicated because I think they needed to like diversify their like what's in them, you know. So they really tried to make them unique, and that leads to like every game that you play is not going to be Monopoly. You know, it's going to be a pretty intricate game.
Guys, I have The Witcher the board game and Skyrim the board game both on order, so when they come out.
So I almost mentioned this earlier because we were talking about Steam games. I have a massive backlog of both board games and like video games that I want to play. Like I bought these board games thinking, oh, they will be great, you know, to play. And then like you need to have a group to play them. So like I have Scythe still that don't even think I've taken the wrapper off. Tom, welcome to Backlog Anonymous.
No, I mean, I'm back in town, so let's play some board games.
Absolutely. I find board games almost better than video games a lot of the time.
I do
Yeah.
too. I do too. Sorry, listeners.
I think it's because there's that organic element though, because like you have to play in person.
Mm-hmm.
Like your friends are actually there when you're playing a board game. Video games are nice, like when you can't really get together,
Mm-hmm.
or it's inconvenient to get together for a long stretch of time. But yeah, board games just have that organic element to it, which sounds gross when I say it like that, but you know what I mean.
No, I get it. And the other thing too is it also, to the point of like organic element, is like if I said to one of our friends who is not a big video game player, hey, you should go buy this $30, $40 game to play this game with me, there's a lot of resistance there. Where if I'm like, hey, I have Dead of Winter, which some of our friends might play if they have it, or if we have it, but they might not want to play it. Like they might not want to buy the game themselves to play online with us. There's a lot less resistance there. So I think that also is a big part of why I personally like board games, because you can get people into them more that would not normally get into them.
Yeah. I think most people I know are just kind of into board games. But I think Pinto has the edge that I normally see, which is it's an event. You have people over, and it's something that like spices up your party. Like you get to play a new game, learn something new, and compete and have fun. How many times have we played Ticket to Ride at your house?
I was gonna say though, that's the thing though. We have the degree of seriousness when we play at Fleming's house. The early party is like Ticket to Ride. It's like, all right, now all the normies are leaving. Let's bust out like Betrayal at the House on the Hill or something like that.
Bro, you don't even know about that one time we played Twilight Struggle for 3 hours.
That was after I left. And we had been playing Dead of Winter for 8 hours, and then you guys stayed up for 4 hours and played another game.
You know what, though? At the end of the game, I was like, I can understand why a lot of people think it's the best game ever, because there is a lot of interesting dynamics to that game that you don't find in others. It's really competitive because it's a one-on-one situation. I could see like a group of people versus a group of people, and like I don't want to say like political arguments because there's not really politics in the game, but there's a little bit of like, how do I use these cards? And there's so many ways to use them that if you had a group of people that knew what they were doing, like it becomes really interesting, kind of the dynamic you can pull out of the game.
And it is one of those games where you have to know the cards. Because like we saw in the first game that we played, we just got to a round where there was a fucking card that I was able to play. It was just like, I win. Like it was just, it made no sense coming into the game and not having played it before. It's just like, oh, the situation is set up to such a point where if I play this, I win. Where if you know the cards and you're playing, you know how to play defensively so that that's not a thing that can happen. And I don't know. It's just super complicated in that way. And I mean, it helps a lot, actually. It's one of those games where, like, if you play on the computer, it helps a lot because it manages a lot of the nitty gritty, complicated details and roles and stuff. But even then, you still have to know the cards. The computer doesn't tell you, well, hey, watch out. Your opponent has 20 victory points going into phase 3,
Well, they'll warn you of that kind of stuff, but they won't warn you like, hey, if you're in DEF CON 2 or 3 or whatever it was, the United States has a I win card.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as Russia, you need to be much more prepared for something like that, I guess. But yeah, it's a really good game, but that's the kind of board game where playing it with a computer assistance makes it a lot easier. Like, I'm going to use Monopoly as a good example. Like, Monopoly isn't too bad to play as a board game, and they ultimately added like cashier kind of features to make it a little more streamlined and so people didn't make mistakes. But it's overall a basic game. The rules are simple. You collect money, you buy property, you try to get other people's money, and ultimately their property too. But a game like Twilight Struggle with all of that complexity to it. Betrayal is another one too. Every game is different. It has so much complexity, and every situation becomes different. That like those types of games, I think with computer assistance, can make them a little bit I don't want to say easier, but just more streamlined, just a little bit, like it just flows better. You don't forget steps that you should have taken. The computer will say, hey, I'm not moving forward till you collect your card. And if you forget to do that in a board game, well, you just ruin the board game to some extent. So
well, they even make it like easier to learn too.
Yes.
I've played that Axis and Allies game that we've talked about before, and Axis and Allies is also a pretty deep game, and there are different mechanics to kind of every unit that you have on the field and where they can move, where they have to come back to, how far out they can go, different things like that. And I feel like the game itself could do a little bit better in tutorializing, but once you play like a game of it on the computer through that streamlined experience, you get a feel for how it all works, and you feel pretty confident going into it again. Mm-hmm. So that helps a lot. And I mean, I have the digital edition of Scythe, and I have a mind to just play that before actually trying to play Scythe, which I also own and is still shrink wrapped. If I know the rules from that, I feel a lot better about being like, cool, guys, let's play that. And, we won't have to spend an hour watching somebody tell us how to do it on YouTube as we're getting into it.
Or all fighting over the rule book, stuff like that. Or, trying to explain rules to people that prefer to just read the rule book themselves, too. And yeah.
It's to the point where YouTube is just the better way to go. I mean, we did that with Gloomhaven when I played that on the tabletop before playing it on the computer, which also, by the way, playing it on the computer streamlines the experience, makes it much easier to figure out how things work. We missed so many rules in that gigantic game. Mm-hmm. But what are you going to do? It's as games get more massive, they get more complicated, and complication is like inherent to the video game engine, really. Like, that's why board games are normally on, hey, here's Mousetrap, roll a dice and build the Mousetrap, right?
That was such a good game too, just so you know.
You don't even need to play the game. You just build the trap and try to get that thing to work. That's the best. That's the best.
That was a fun board game, though.
That's all me and my cousin would do. We were like little kids. My grandparents had it. We would just build the Mousetrap. Yeah, I mean, Gloomhaven is a fantastic game on the computer. Like, I would love to play it with you guys sometime too. But it's made a lot better through that experience. So I would really love to see more board games get digital equivalents, and not just like tabletop simulator equivalents, but actual like build the logic out kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I think it's pretty doable. It's just that you really need the graphics to back it up too at the end of the day. Because what really makes board games awesome is all the art and all of the models and all of the pieces and boards that get put into it.
I was going to say, or do the opposite. I mean, it's probably actually, it might even cost more money to make a game versus make a board game. But I feel like there's a lot of investment to start a board game. So you have a lot of like Kickstarters and stuff. But if you created even a simplified version of your game and then made it into a board game, because it was designed as a board game, it's just that it's online first, that may also help like work out issues in terms of how it plays and everything. I don't know.
Well, a lot of Kickstarters now actually do release on like Tabletop Simulator before you get the physical product, or they'll do play tests through that where they'll release the rules, and but they already have the digitized models for everything because they have to give that to the factory to print the models anyway. Same with the board art.
That's
and everything.
Cool. Didn't realize.
So, I mean, I don't even know what to call it. I'm just like guilty of backing too many board games that I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. Like, I backed one the other day that was like, you go through time and you have to assemble like a spaceship crew of like historical figures and other people in the future, and you compete over like changing moments in history to set things up a way that like your team or your like group of visionaries wants the world and universe to be. And I was like, that sounds amazing. I totally want to play that. So I backed that, and I saw another one that was something else, and I backed that, and I'm like,
the idea of a time travel or changing, it'd be kind of, I could see a board game where like it's like a timeline, right? That's like the board game that you set up. It's a bunch of different like placards or whatever. Let's say you play from, like they can make a story like, the time machine was invented in 1893 or something, and you can change like you can stop like World War One from breaking out, which would then make a new type of World War One occur later. But you could fix that. That actually sounds really awesome, especially if you're a more historical buff, like I feel I am. So that'd be really cool.
I do have one game that's a card game already called Chrononauts, which you lay out the timeline in cards, and then you play different cards to do different stuff, and it does change certain things. So like World War II breaks out, can turn into Fairgoers Love German Cake. Which is fantastic. And you can play as like one guy from the future who's like a reptile creature, and he has to like just disrupt all this stuff and make it real crazy. You can like prevent John Lennon getting assassinated, Abraham Lincoln, stuff like that.
That sounds cool.
It's very cool. Yeah. So I am a sucker for stuff like that. I bought just straight up on Amazon another one that was like Steampunk Racers. So the idea is you play like as a mad scientist, and you build a steampunk like race car with just different wacky contraption pieces, and you're racing against everybody else who is also a mad scientist building their own race car, because it was on a like Board Game Geek list or something. And I was like, that sounds awesome. Anything like that just sounds different. I'm like, cool, I'm on board. So what I'm saying is I have a lot of cool board games, and we're going to need to get together and play them.
Sounds good, sir.
Yes.
This has turned into the board game.
No, we had another topic. It was a topicless topic. It went towards board game stuff, which I think falls into our game, genre. And there are, links to video games too in that. So I think it's good.
I'll die on the hill that board games are a part of our umbrella.
Yes, I agree. But looking at the time here, unless someone has like a profound thought, looking at the time here, it's probably about time to say goodbye to our listeners who we have not bored with board games.
Oh.
Yeah, what's that pun?
It
wasn't really a pun.
I ate some canned anchovies the other day after we played
Were they
How
good?
Fish is Made.
No, did you smile?
Wait,
as
it
you
wasn't.
consumed
It
them?
wasn't anchovy. Was it? It was sardines. Sorry, not anchovies.
Did you sing the "Just Living in It" song?
Just living with it.
Living with it.
I definitely
Just
thought
living
about
with
it.
Nice.
Was it intentional? Were you like, I've seen how fish is made, and now fish will see how I am made from the inside out?
Yeah, I've seen how fish is made, and now I will make fish into poop.
That's what you do.
How poop is made.
How poop is made.
I'd play that
First,
game
consume
too.
fish.
That'd probably be like a Magic School Bus type game where you choose like different episodes and you go through and it's like, this one is how poop is made. And don't act like they wouldn't do it, because they did an episode about how like fish are born, and the kids were in like little fish eggs and the salmon came and like jizzed all up on it, and they were like, this is how salmon are born.
I can't believe that is actually a thing. I feel like I need to find it on YouTube.
I've seen the picture.
And then do they talk about,
God.
I don't know if they talk about afterwards how it's like, and then he dies. This salmon lives his entire life, nuts once, and then fucking dies.
I am gonna have to look for that. That sounds funny.
And thus, I don't feel bad about killing and eating them.
And this is how fish is made.
Wow. All right, I'm getting us out of here before we start talking more about weird Magic School Bus episodes.
And bears are made, but no.
No. It's over and done with now, Tom. All righty, people that are still listening, thank you so much for listening. Catch us on the joypadpod.com. We have a link tree there with our YouTube channel. If you're not already listening there, of course. You can also find like Twitter and Instagram and other related social medias like Facebook too. Yeah, I feel like there's something else I was going to say about that, but You can email us. I forgot what our email is. Is it like joypadpod@gmail.com?
Yep.
Yeah, email us some thoughts. Leave us comments in our videos if you have a topic. If you want to be the topic boy or girl and bring it to us so we don't have to come up with one and forget to do our homework. Hope you enjoyed this one. Unless there's anything else, I'm going to pass it to you, Tom.
Homework.
Do you not want to do it? Do you not have energy tonight?
Oh, I'll do it.
Okay.
If you're bored, play a board game. Damn it. Stay joyful while you do it. By which I mean, stay joyful.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Not my best.
That's okay. I really